traveling around. It was my brother's 50th birthday last night as well. So are we live now? Are we live now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now everyone knows. Happy birthday, brother.
Okay. Let me just put my headphones in just to make sure I can hear everyone. Brilliant. And I've got this my oh, this is someone. Oh, someone. We've got Roy who's just said hello. Yeah, I've got this wobbly tripod, so I just had to stabilize it beforehand. Otherwise, it would just be slipping everywhere. But it's amazing what a little bit of strategically placed blue tack can do. Anyway, how are you? How are things? You good?
Very good. Nice to see you. Angelique, you're muted.
All right. Okay.
We're very excited to have you here, Hogarth.
Hello.
I just wanted to say something about Hogarth's astrology knowledge. So, those of you who know that I met an amazing new man because Alan and I and Gabriella, we played this fun game, and we created a receiving game because of what we experienced. But this new man, of course, had to be reviewed through the astrology lens of Hogarth. And actually, you play a prominent role in the webinar that Ellen and I actually created that was called The Power of Play to Become a Vibrational Match to Your Dream Relationship. Because we had a few slides. Actually, there's even a screenshot of one of the predictions you had for my partner and how it coincided with Ellen and I and Gabriella starting to play the game.
Wow.
So yeah. I'll send you the video. But not only that, I know for a fact that my partner, you know, just like a lot of the beautiful men that I seem to attract, very much not into astrology. Like they think it's something for the newspapers. And this is my, you know, again, a personal, this is a testimonial for Hogarth and for astrology, I think, in general. So men don't really, they just humor me when I say, can we have a book, an appointment with Hogarth? But actually, when Hogarth and I and Thomas had the reading together, there were certain dates that Hogarth pointed out as critical dates for my partner that my partner, when Hogarth would mention these dates, my partner would whisper to me, this and this happened on those dates. And then later on, he would convey it to Hogarth, and you should see the face on Hogarth's jaw. If it could drop on the floor, it would be, right? Remember what we're talking about. I mean, it was so scarily accurate. And my partner from now on, you know, when I say this and this is happening, and, you know, and we are now, Ellen and I are now studying with a financial trader who's super spiritual. And he actually said to us that he said millionaires do not consult astrology, billionaires do. Yes. And when you actually really, really look at all the science behind it, you know, secret societies and all the founders of big countries, they have been looking at astrology. And so the thing is that a lot of people don't know this and they poo-poo astrology. They think it's just like the BS that you find in the newspapers or in the chick flick magazines that you find at the hair salon, right? And that is really, you know, it's almost like a dishonoring the astrology, the science of astrology, because it's much more complex. And we love it that we actually met Hogarth, because Hogarth, I think, is not one of the most funniest, but also one of the most sexiest, handsome, and most and empathetic astrologers that we've ever met. And because I will say to you, Hogarth doesn't just read astrology. He's not like, this is going to happen, oh my God, hide under the blanket or something. Hogarth will also, because of his passion for personal transformation and his wisdom, because of his soul, I think his soul reincarnated with all this wisdom, apart from all the sexiness and everything. Basically, Hogarth also knows how to transcend the planetary shifts, right? And that is what we're looking forward to, because I will tell you personally, and I don't know about Ellen, and I don't know about all the people here that love this topic, you can go to any YouTube or any any media outlet that talks about this astrology event, and you will find as many interpretations as there are astrologers or people with an opinion. And actually, some of them are very, very scary, Hogarth. Like literally, I'm thinking about maybe buying a pill so that if anything happens, then I'm just gonna die and leave this planet. Like there are things that are being predicted that are like, they sound very life-threatening because
Yes.
of, you know, this will happen to the earth, this will happen with solar flares, blah, 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 blah. You better be prepared and buy things to create water and have food. Like, I mean, I've been through this before, but you can see so many different interpretations. And then others are super optimistic. And then others are like, oh, this is going to happen. It's very, very subtle. I am so curious what you have to say, Hogarth, because I think some balance is needed in terms of what influence do the stars have on the systems that we live in, but also what can we do to proactively engage with our, you know, the way that we can influence, you know, the planetary shifts that are happening, because they are happening.
They are happening. So first of all, thanks so much. Thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure, and yeah, it's nice also as well to be able to kind of just continue like the contribution to the dialogue that's going on. So yes, of course. I mean, all the astrologers, all the tarot readers, any light worker with a platform, of course, is kind of predicting things about these times. They are very, very intense and they are very rare. But it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of, if you imagine, it's a bit like snakes and ladders in a certain sense, in terms of like timelines, or even like those books where you can choose those different options, because as much as there is activity and stuff like that with the planets as well, what is mixed in there is, of course, human free will. And just to kind of go back to your point that you were making before about billionaires using astrology and governments and stuff, this is absolutely true. This is true, and this is part of why they are so successful in the first place, because you can imagine, I think it was JP Morgan or something like that, who said, becoming a millionaire was relatively easy, but billionaires use astrology. It's very true. And I think part of what made him believe that was that he spoke to an astrologer who warned him not to go on the Titanic, and he avoided it. And we all know what happened. This is like one of the most famous stories. So after that, he was a real believer. In terms of astrology and stuff being poo-pooed, and like you said, it just being considered a chick flick thing, part of that myth is allowed to prevail precisely because if everyone knew just how powerful astrology was, particularly Vedic astrology, and how accurate it actually is, and this was common knowledge, this would just change the landscape of a lot of things, because there is so much that is in a person's chart. So if I just hold up an example of, say, of one of my clients' charts or something like that. So I've got a little consultation coming up earlier. So what I'll do is I'll just put a bit of what's it called, a post-it note over their name. But if we look here, so this is a chart this is the chart of a client that I've got coming up, and the way I divide it up is, so you've got this part here of a chart. This is like where the stars actually were at the time that this person was born, yeah, and this is called the D1, and then underneath here, this is called the D9, which is like the 9th divisional chart. So if you can imagine like these boxes here, these houses divided into 9, this is very much the second half of life. This chart kicks in around about age 36, 37, and then definitely at 40, it kicks in. So what it describes is, it describes the flow of energy that happens in a person's life. And most people really do, if you just think back to your own life, we really start coming to some big revelations, big changes and stuff in our mid to late 30s. And then when we hit 40, there is a shift. And Vedic astrology is one of the best ones for actually describing how energy flows and changes in a person's life. And I've had some extraordinary readings with clients where stuff has come up, stuff has been revealed, or we've really talked about the deepest meanings of their lives just based on the planets and the hits the downloads they give me, and they ask me to ask this or that. And it's a tremendous tool. It's a tremendous tool for trends. So for example, the planets can help describe the energies that are underway. So for example, when it comes to things like stock market, etc., and people that do very well in the stock market, there's a lot of volatility in the stock market. Why? Because it's based on a lot of people's emotion. Everyone thinks it's rational. Yeah, it's not. The stock market is one of the most irrational places on earth, because it's based on people's emotion, how they're feeling about things. So if we see all like these big spikes, like for example, we see like there's these huge spikes when there was an announcement of like the vaccine, for example, all of this volatility, it's because it's people's emotions, and there's a lot of speculation there. So people's emotions, of course, can be very difficult to predict. However, when you're using astrology, you actually begin to get insights, because the planets have a huge subconscious effect on humanity. That's essentially how they work. The nickname, or not the nickname, the name for the planets in Vedic astrology is Graha, and Graha means to grip. So essentially what it means is, unless you are aware of astrology and its movements and stuff, most people are under the grip of the planets. This is why astrology works. This is why, because I can look at someone's chart, and particularly as well when we're younger, because basically what tends to happen, what is maturity? If we think, what is maturity? Maturity is self-awareness, isn't it? We usually with time we become what? More self-aware, more accomplished, more able to accept the truth. Yeah. And that is a big part of what maturity is. If we think, for example, of people that are highly immature, their ability to accept the truth is completely compromised, isn't it? So we can think of someone now who's sitting in a house that's painted white, who is struggling very much to accept the truth of a situation. Yeah, it's because there's a very high level of immaturity there, and the more immature we are, the more the planets, the more we are under the grip and the influence of the planets. Now, this is not to be a disservice or to to be a slight to anyone who doesn't know astrology, but it is sort of, in a way, just kind of the way it works. So the ancients used to say that anyone that was educated, anyone that had any kind of formal education, say like you just, you got a degree or something like that, they said those people at the very least should know at least the basics of Vedic astrology. It's almost like it's part of one's civic duty to understand these motions, because if you don't, then basically you're just subject to the tides and the flows, the grip of the planets. And this is kind of, you could say it's quite easily, you could say it's like 95% of the population, really. The global population.
Let's just focus now on, actually whatever's going on, because you can assume that the people that are watching this, most of them have had consultations with you, and they are deeply involved in the personal responsibility work, and some of us really even feel responsible for the collective. Yeah. So these are the people in our tribe. These are the people we work with, we joint venture with, they are clients, they are your clients. So how can we approach, if we have 40 minutes, because we were trying to keep it short, because we normally have these 2-hour type of interviews, but I would like people to get like the snippets of really how can we understand what is coming up on the solstice? What are these planets going to do with the collective, and how can we individually prepare? And so imagine that then you can differentiate between the people that are that are more aware. Let's say, I consider myself a bit aware. I don't say I'm
Oh,
perfect,
of course you are.
because
No,
even
no.
I am like I'm like triggered as well by things that happen.
Anyone watching this, yeah.
And I'm sure that even the leaders, the most powerful in the planet, are now even like, really, everybody is, we're not believing that this is a normal lifetime. This is a very extraordinary lifetime. So can you tell us the best thing for people that are like us, like, I don't want to differentiate, but the people that are aware, what can we do to not basically worsen whatever effects are coming on? And at the same time, there's a lot of huge optimism about this new era that is being welcomed in, but at the same time we're going through so much upheaval. So maybe tell us a little bit about more the collective and the personal dimension, the interaction between that.
Okay, well, first of all, what is happening is that the whole world simultaneously, and I saw a message as well. Someone said in Sri Lanka they use Vedic astrology or sidereal. Yes, it's true. There is a lot of the world that is already on this system, and but essentially, what is happening? We are going through a huge global reset. And basically the grand conjunction that's coming together between Saturn and Jupiter, which is happening in sidereal Capricorn, and it's happening, I think it's at 6 degrees, or 6 degrees 40 minutes, I think it is. And it's in the nakshatra, which is called Uttara Ashada, which means the latter victory. What is happening is, and they are actually going to enter a bit of planetary war, actually. What does that mean? It's when two planets come within a degree of each other. But this is even more special. Saturn and Jupiter join every 20 years. They join every 20 years. So it is a relatively rare conjunction. I mean, no one would say that happens every day. Of course it doesn't. And that is a significant portion of time in a human lifetime. But this one is even more special. So the last time they met in sidereal Capricorn was in the early 60s. So if we think of, say, like 1961, around that point, I think it was around about May, Saturn and Jupiter, they met like this. Yeah. Which is still a very powerful conjunction. And we all know there was a lot of social change, upheaval in the 60s. If you think, there was the civil rights movement, there were the Beatles, we had, JFK, all that kind of stuff, big energy. So that was very significant. And what happens is, it's like fires a starting pistol and instantly everything is changed, because remember, these are quite slow moving planets. It takes Saturn 12 years to go around the whole zodiac. It takes Jupiter 12 years to go around the whole zodiac. It takes Saturn 29 years, 30 years. But this time they are meeting together like this. The actual conjunction is on top of each other like that, to the extent that they will, for 3 days, they will look like a single star in the sky. One star. And this star, they actually call the Star of Bethlehem. And they were saying this is actually how the three wise kings, who are actually astrologers, by the way. So if anyone, if everyone, obviously, there's lots of stuff in the Bible, about astrology or against astrology. They need to understand this. The three wise kings were astrologers. That's how they found Jesus in the first place. Yeah. because
there was no CNN or Google Maps telling them where to go when it would happen, right? There was no people like you and us telling them, oh, you have to go to Bethlehem because Jesus is being born. They had to calculate it. Yeah.
Yes, they had to calculate it, because basically the skies, the stars are the original GPS. That's how people navigated. That's how everyone knows this. This is how people found their way around the earth. You had to look at the stars. It's how geese and navigating animals fly. They calibrate certain stars and they look at where that is in relation to the moon, as well as their internal GPS system, and this is how they find out where they're going. So the three kings saw that this conjunction was coming together in the sign of Pisces, and they understood back then, because certain signs were associated with certain lands. They were like, aha, a king will be born in the land of Judea. So they made that way. So this is happening again. Now, this conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter only happens once every 800 years. Yes, 800 years. That's, you know, that's how rare this conjunction is. So this is very, very significant. Now, what is the sign of Capricorn? If we think, Capricorn is known as the sign of pressure. Yeah, pressure. Everyone is feeling what? Pressured. Yeah. Capricorn is about hierarchical structures, pyramids. Yeah, pyramids of power. Ordinary people, and then of course, you know, the elites at the top. Yeah, we all understand that this is how the world has been organized for a very long time. So we're going to be looking at a restructuring of that. Yeah, all of that's going to be examined. Capricorn is also a sign of what? Work, career.
Climbing up, going up.
Exactly,
Up.
trying to climb that mountain, trying to reach the top. That's why the symbol, that's part of why the symbol for Capricorn is the goat. But but there's also the goat fish and there's the alligator. So what does this tell you about Capricorn? It tells you that, first of all, people need to understand, like, Capricorn is very associated with masculine energy, corporate energy, and stuff like that. But what people need to remember is it is the highest of the female signs. Capricorn is the 10th sign, which means the natural, it's the 10th sign of the zodiac, which means it rules a natural angle, which is the 10th house of the career, but it's female. Because all the water signs and the earth signs, they're all female. So this is the highest of the manifesting signs, is Capricorn. And this is part of why we feel so much pressure with Capricorn, because Capricorn makes us aware of our duties and our responsibilities and things that we need to do. Like, oh my goodness, I need to do that presentation tomorrow. Oh my goodness, you know, will I get a promotion? Oh my goodness, I need to have a chat with the boss about this, that, and the other. Oh my goodness, I need to figure out what to do with my career. So when we look at this and we see this as a huge reset, what is happening? We're having a huge reset, but it's also becoming a point of powerful manifestation as well. But then we also need to understand this is not just a conjunction between Pluto and between Jupiter and Saturn. Pluto is also involved as well. And Pluto is an extraordinary planet. And I say planet, not planetoid, planet, because Jupiter, although he is tiny, he is one of the most transformative planets that we have in the solar system. And particularly so for America. So if we think of, say, for example, Saturn gives us, we have a Saturn returns every round about our 30th birthday. So every kind of like 29 years, yeah, we have a Saturn returns. It takes Pluto 248 years to return back to his original place. So America is having a Pluto returns. Now, what is Pluto? Pluto is the planet of rebirth, but it's also the planet of the dark night of the soul. Yeah, we have to, he's the god of what? Hades. So what, we have to go down into Hades, face our demons, you know, reckon with the deepest truth of ourselves and the realities of the world, to come back up out the other side renewed. Now, you're familiar with this, Angelique, but the cycles of Venus go through this as well. She has a period of where she vanishes, she disappears from sight for 9 months and then comes up. Can you imagine that? For 9 months, you know, think of a very popular human cycle that involves. And then she comes back and she's what? Reborn. So what this is Pluto represents the deepest shadow, but also the highest of what human beings are capable of. So if you can imagine, if you take those three associations, so if we just think, so Pluto, rebirth, yeah, but something has to die first, yeah, something has to die first in order for something else to be reborn. You've got Saturn, which is the planet of time and structure, and he always resets things when he comes back to his signs, because you can imagine, sometimes for Saturn, it's a bit of a trial as a planet, because all planets, irrespective of their power, they must obey the signs and the houses that they're in. Oh, do you need to go?
There's a package being delivered, so
oh, okay.
I'll just put it on.
We can pause.
Just continue. Just continue.
Yeah, continue.
No problem. So so Saturn basically resets everything, even though he's a planet of permanence, in the sense of structures. He represents all sorts of structures, distribution systems. He represents the government along with the sun, but he represents the government in particular, civil servants, service, motorways, highways, infrastructure, yeah, stuff like that, bridges, dams, all sorts of architecture, even classical music. So you can imagine, even though Saturn is considered the planet of restriction, which he is, because he's also the planet of lockdown as well. Saturn is the planet of lockdown, discipline, following the rules, all of this stuff. So you can see, when you have a planet like this coming back to his signs, now Saturn has to wait the longest to be in his own signs. He rules over Capricorn and he rules over Aquarius in old money. Yeah, in the traditional rulership, Saturn rules Aquarius. And what is everyone saying? We're going into the age of Aquarius. But what happens is that Saturn gets his signs back to back. He's the only planet that gets that. So although he has to wait a long time, we're going to be under the influence of Saturn for the next 5 years, because it takes Saturn about 2.5 years to go through each sign. So, 2.5 plus 2.5 equals 5. So that means we're going to be going under an intense restructuring of global government systems for at least the next 5 years. Yeah. And if you think about it, there is a logic to that. Everything is interconnected. It's not gonna change overnight, but now this is the big part, like the intensity of it is really stepping up. And really it has been this way for a while. I think Pluto entered into sidereal Capricorn, I think it was back in January, almost to kind of like trigger the start of the whole kind of coronavirus and all that kind of stuff. On the 1st of January, he's really going to be in sidereal Capricorn proper. So he really will be there for a significant duration, at least 12 years. And this is where we're going to see those big changes. In Western astrology, they have the conjunction happening at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And of course, that's relevant in the sense of anticipating what's going to happen, but it's actually happening in Capricorn. And this is why we're seeing Capricorn's also got a lot to do with money. Like I said, career. What's changing in everyone's faces? Everyone's money is changing. Everyone's careers have been turned upside down. Why? Because of the coronavirus, because Saturn, the planet of restriction, is socially distancing everyone. Saturn is about distance as well, things being spread apart. Pluto is coming in and transforming those systems. And this is part of what makes Vedic astrology so accurate, because it describes what's actually happening. So there's that. So how do we deal with it? Any more questions before I go on?
Yes, and I definitely, because of how everything is being turned upside down, I have a business meeting at 1 o'clock. So if we could, in the next 27 minutes, focus on how can we individually prepare, and without actually feeling powerless, because as you know, we all have power to stay aware, to inform ourselves, But then, you know, how can we as an individual think, oh, because, you know, the economic systems, the governments, the companies out there, you know, so many structures that affect us as an individual, how can we, without doing the blaming game, without, you know, feeling, oh, these people out there doing this to me, how can we be a contribution for the greater good?
Mm-hmm. Well, my recommendation, and like what I say on my YouTube videos, but it really does work. And so if we think of Einstein's theory, yeah, of course, E equals mc squared, yeah, the speed of light, essentially, and how gravity affects, you know, the speed of light. But I say to people, there are two things that are faster than the speed of light. One is the imagination, and two is prayer, because both are instantaneous. Instantaneous.
How do we pray? Because, you know, Ellen and I, we are creating the receiving game, and we're really, all we talk about is the elevated emotion, which Dr. Joe refers to, or what Greg Braden and Neville Goddard talks about. The feeling is the secret, feeling is the prayer. And really this is, and because the feeling of it already happened, it is happening now, is basically signaling to the unified field, the holographic universe, that this is how it's going to unfold, instead of observing, you know, the events ongoing and just feeling, oh my God, it's not here yet. Where is this God outside of me that's going to help come and save me? And, you know, I reckon, you know, this is what I've heard from several teachers, and I don't really know who they are. It's like there is no second Christ coming to save us. This time around, it's going to be the collective that will have to be the change, and we have to face our inner demons by taking the responsibility, and not by looking outward in the 3D world to say these governments are doing this to us, or these, you know, these economy, you know, these ministries of economy are restricting my business, etc., etc. So how could we see it? This thing about imagination and prayer. How can we individually prepared? Let's say you're a business owner and you've heard that you had to, you know, shut down your business for 9 months. 50% of the hospitality and leisure industry in Holland is technically bankrupt. I read. Wow. You know, I hardly ever read a newspaper, but when I read it, I feel very, very distressed, because although I am not in that industry, I do feel a lot of pain and compassion and responsibility, because at least I know that I am co-creating this as somebody who's here present in this lifetime. So how can we deal with these things that are really big in our face, challenging us to try and find a solution? Some of us are protesting, some of us are really, you know, doing meditation, but some people are just bogged down in pain and what I would call despair, sometimes anger and frustration. And confusion, of course, as well, because not a lot of people are looking into astrology, looking into personal responsibility.
Yes. I mean, I'll talk about like the collective, and then I'll talk about the personal level. What we have to do collectively is essentially save ourselves. Yes. And not expect someone on some knight in white shining armor to come and knock on the door and just be like, you're rescued. No. What is happening now, because this conjunction is profound. Like I said, this is the Star of Bethlehem conjunction here. So this is where the point, the reality that we have to accept collectively, is that what we need to do, we need to combine imagination with prayer. And what we need to do is imagine the world that we want to see and wish for the highest good. Think of all the technologies and stuff that we have. Think of all of the things that we've known now about how prayer, intention, emotion, etc., all that stuff, as difficult as it is, this is a test.
Absolutely.
This is the test.
Absolutely.
And the planet
transcend the 3D. transcend the
Absolutely.
appearances of the so-called reality around us, to actually co-create despite what we're facing, to know that we can still create, we're still powerful, we can still use these creative faculties that are actually poo-pooed as childish and as like, don't be so silly. Actually, they are the most powerful creative faculties that we have.
Absolutely. And what will emerge is this: the truth of things like astrology, prayer, elevation, imagination is going to become known to the collective.
Yes.
It will become known. And the reason why it will become known is because those are going to be the people that are going to be doing well. Yeah.
Because they are prepared, and they are not blaming, and they're taking their power, and they're not in the grip of the planets, the subconscious planets.
Precisely. What we need to understand is that there is, and particularly with Vedic astrology, there is unfortunately an element of brutal reality to this, unfortunately. As we know, life is not all sweetness and light. You know, there are
duality.
Absolutely, there are battles. So what we need to understand is what is happening is that the age of Pisces is coming to an end. Pisces is what? The symbol, the two fish swimming in two different directions. This shows, exemplifies what the age is about, which is the age of duality, like you said, black and white, yeah, heaven, hell, good, bad, yeah, nothing in between. We're going into the age of Aquarius, which is what about what? Equality, yeah, innovation, taking your individual contribution to collective and sharing it with others. But what this means is, it means that the age, all the Piscean things that we're attached to are having to break down and die, unfortunately. This is what also Pluto symbolizes as well. The death and breaking down of old structures that no longer serve us, in order that it can, you know, we can rise like a phoenix from the ashes. Now, unfortunately, Pluto is a very intense and often quite a painful planet. Yeah. If we try to hold on to the old structures, if we embrace, like, Pluto is like what we say, grasping the nettle. Yeah. Or imagine the rose with thorns. Yeah, almost. But it's almost like when we grasp that nettle, we don't feel as much pain as we thought we would. The pain is the transformation, because what is the biggest thing that people fear more than death, which has been revealed, is change. We've seen, look at the evidence around the world. People risking their lives every day with the virus, but just to maintain their habits, yeah, because that's the moon, yeah. The moon is our habits. The moon is our habits, how we instinctively respond to things. Saturn is what? Restriction, following rules. But Saturn is also a planet of change. Saturn and Moon are not friends in terms of how they operate, in terms of how they influence humanity. So what the big struggle is these changes. Now, obviously, people are having to deal with these realities of, you know, businesses closing and stuff like that. That is real, and a lot of that is out of people's control. So obviously, you know, people would say, oh, well, that's rich, you know, I'll just go and pray and, you know, everything will be better.
Absolutely.
However, such is the situation, such is the sweep of how things have been done, that is often now the only option people have, is literally to go within, to spiritualize, because it's the effect around the world is so total. Because like I said, this is not an ordinary conjunction. This is a once in every 800-year conjunction. And it's with Pluto, the planet of what? Going through the underworld in order to face the what? The dark night of the soul. So yes, it's true. There is a lot of that stuff. However, people also need to understand this is an opportunity. Within every crisis is opportunity. And you see as well, there are a lot of people that are getting very rich off this as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, there are, you know, because people understand it's an opportunity. So what this is, in terms of practicality, What is the age of Aquarius? The co-ruler of Aquarius is what? Planet Uranus. Planet Uranus is the planet of revolution, yeah, sudden shocks and surprises, and electricity, and an unpleasant surprise that ends up being very good for you, yeah. So that is also happening to the collective as well. Uranus is not in Taurus yet; he's in sidereal Aries. And Aries is the planet of Aries is the sign of what? Innovation and going forward, yeah, going faster. And soon Mars and Uranus are going to be coming together in the sky. In fact, actually on the inauguration, I think they're conjunct. So
the timing,
Yes.
I mean, you should ask, like, is this being done on purpose, or is this just coincidence? Like one in a one, I don't know how many trillion of in terms of chance, right?
Yeah, there's no coincidence. This is the massive wake-up call for humanity. This is the planet signaling, because remember, it's as above, so below.
Yeah.
The great Hermetic saying. This is the planet saying, now it is time, and there is no going back. The age is coming. This is the preparation. We're not quite there yet. The age of Aquarius will officially be fully into it in about, technically about 200 years from now. And you just think, oh God, what's the point in that? But what that means is this is all the preparation. That means all of that age of Pisces stuff needs to go. So this is about what? Technology. This is about online, yeah? Getting some kind of online presence in whatever fashion.
Yes.
Because Saturn rules Aquarius in old money. And this is often, sometimes I think, where in Western astrology, that sometimes that fact has escaped many people, because we go, oh, Uranus, outer planet. No, Saturn is the original ruler of Aquarius. Uranus is a co-ruler. And when we understand that Saturn is involved, then we understand, oh my goodness, this is even more profound, because everyone knows about Saturn, but they don't know this charitable side. So what this is also as well about, we have to nourish each other as a collective. So what we need to do is, those that are really struggling, we need, and if we know them, we need to reach out to them and offer our support to help them get through it. We have to be in that Aquarian age where, of course, we have to look after ourselves as well. We need to make sure that our businesses are monetized and set up for online activity. Everyone, it's just a reality. We know this now, don't we?
All retail is shut down in Holland,
Right.
you know, and around
Exactly.
the world. Absolutely. You cannot even run your business anymore if you don't have an online presence.
Absolutely.
And if you're a service, it's over. If you're a face-to-face contact service, it's pretty much like you're at the mercy or something of like what the numbers are.
Absolutely, because what is happening is Saturn, this, you know, remember as well, he's the planet of karma, but we also need to understand Saturn is a malefic. Saturn is the first-rate malefic. And what a malefic is, it doesn't mean evil, but it does mean cruel. Yes, Saturn
brutal honesty,
yes,
or brutal clarity. You know, brutality is also a wake-up call. It's like, you know, as we talked about the immaturity of a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people that you see as, you know, really evolved human beings, they didn't go to the easiest lives. And I don't know why this is the way it is, but sometimes, you know, great wisdom is initiated by brutality. You know,
yes,
and
yes,
brutality
pain.
in all its different forms, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's abandonment or betrayal, or, you know, like in the midst, you're being raped, you're an orphan,
Abused,
you know, your children killing their parents, all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Quite brutal. Yeah,
absolutely. And because the thing is that we need to understand that the way I see this coronavirus and everything like that, in a way, what is underway right now is a battle between Saturn and the moon. The moon, they both of these planets affect the collective. Yeah. Saturn affects everyone's job and career, day job, literally. Everyone who has any kind of job or career, you're under the influence of Saturn. Moon is our ability. So me having this conversation with you, I know I am me, you know that you are you. That's moon. Moon is what? The collective memory, collective hard drive for everyone, the soul. The moon is the storehouse of the Akashic records. Yeah. So moon is queen. Moon deals with what? Or every kind of, all the seasons, the reproductive cycles. I always say to people, my clients, if the moon were a holiday, yeah, a holiday period, she's Thanksgiving. What? Family, emotions, food coming together and stuff like that. But Saturn also rules over the collective, and he's what? Separation, social distancing. Yeah, they're in a fight with each other. We're fighting against our instincts to naturally meet up with each other, at the same time fighting with the realities of having to stay apart. So we feel like we're being pulled apart, and there, what you have, Pluto in there adding to the mix. So what this is now is that unfortunately, via a lot of these losses that people are having to experience, this is going to be spiritualizing a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are praying for the first time in their lives. Why? Because they're faced with what? The abyss. You know, Pluto staring them at the face, Saturn staring them, you know, in the face.
Loss
And
of
then,
jobs, loss of their companies, loss of maybe
yes,
their livelihood, loss of lives, loss of trust and faith in the government or economic systems, or even loss of, you know, faith in, you know, the medicine system that we're given, you know, this,
absolutely.
and sometimes loss of trust in people they love, because there's so much polarity around what is right or wrong, what is the right information, what is fake information.
Absolutely.
Like God knows what to trust or to believe anymore. If I were just because we have 10 minutes, Hogarth, imagine that we are inundated with information, right? Everybody will have a different opinion about what the Grand Conjunction means and how we should interpret the news and the events of the world. What would be your advice? You know, and you don't have to convince me about the accuracy of Vedic astrology, because I have enough evidence of how scarily accurate it is. I mean, even though I was rebelling against astrology for many years, I would literally post on Facebook, astrologers is for people who you know, who don't want to take their power, blah 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 blah. I did not respect that anything outside of me could control me. But now I have to actually surrender to the fact that I am not controlled, but I am a part of the way that we are impacted by this bigger dimension than just me as a little ego. So what would you say, if people are looking at all the information, how can they discern the real empowering information from a lot of information coming even from so-called light workers, that is spreading a lot of fear, disempowerment. Oh, you have to blame these people, you know, blah blah blah. And Ellen and I are really conscious. We look into our own fear and we say, and we still know that we have the power. We still know that we are eternal beings. We still know that we're here for a reason, and we still have a mission. And so how would you guide people that are listening to this? Because a lot of people signed up to listen to the recording. Because I think a lot of our people of our tribe really they know that there is something going on and they need to be informed. How do we inform ourselves in a world of so many different opinions and so many different states of consciousness, spreading their news freely, spreading their opinion freely everywhere?
Well, first of all, because I know we're running out of time. First of all, I would say to people, start studying and start looking at Vedic astrology. Yeah, Vedic astrology. There's like quickly, like on YouTube, there's two bit. Well, obviously I've got my own channel as well, which is Hogarth's Global Astrology. You can look at my stuff, but people that are much further along the line, you can look at a guy called Kapiel Raj. He's got tons of videos on Vedic astrology, how it works. You can also look at someone called Joni Patry. She's a bit Trumpy, but you know, she's got amazing videos as well. and look up as well online. In fact, I'll actually recommend one of her books. I'll quickly grab it just before the end. I don't have any, it's not like I get any kickback or anything like that. It's just a good basic book to kind of look at. Also as well, I recommend to people to learn the mythology of the nakshatras, the lunar mansions, because they do work. I know this for a fact because I do it with my clients, and the stories play out in people's lives. Now, what would that do? When you understand this, what starts to happen is the more you understand like astrology, the timings, how things work, the grahas start to lessen their grip. Yeah, they start to lessen their grip. And what starts to happen is you gain more of your free will. The more you understand about the cycles, the seasons, knowing the names of the planets. Saturn is called Shani, Sun is called Surya, Mercury is called Buddha, Venus is called Shukra, Moon is called Chandra, Mars is called Kuja. Oh my gosh, Jupiter is Guru. Yeah, the nodes of the moon are Rahu and Ketu. North node is Rahu, Ketu is the south node. When you know them and you use their names, etc., and stuff like that, this really, really, really helps. It helps a lot because you as an individual can actually converse with the planets. You know, you don't need a priest or even an astrologer necessarily. When you actually know your own chart, you can then actually converse with the planets and you can ask them for guidance and help, and they will help. They do listen, but it's about prayer. It's about imagination. You have to imagine your future, imagine yourself successful, but not only yourself successful, everyone else. Imagine the world healing, everything getting better, everyone going up to the higher vibration.
And if I may interject,
yeah.
Because a lot of us, what we're being shown in the media and even some of the news that's coming towards us are the worst case scenarios. Right? That we are going to be, you know, fill in the blanks, anything that creates a lot of frustration and upheaval and people wanting to protest or people feeling powerless. What if we actually are facing that? You know, do we send love? Do we say, you know, I still, you know, this is just basically a temporary reflection of my subconscious perspective on the state of humanity, and even though it seems so brutal, I can still contribute with a higher vision of possibility.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's also as well. It's about taking personal responsibility, but not taking responsibility for all of the shadow and everything that is happening out there. Yeah, because you know, at the end of the day, you know, what other people do is what other people do, and what other people believe is what other people believe. And not everyone, remember, not everyone wants to make this journey. A lot of people want to stay in three-dimensional reality, and that's their choice. And there's only so much that we can do to bring them up with us. Yeah, and we just have to accept. And this is what this kind of the brutality of this conjunction is about. This is where I call it, we've reached the oil and vinegar moment. Yeah, what happens? Oil rises to the top and the vinegar sinks. Yeah, this is oil and vinegar. As much as we may want to try and save as many people as we can, at the end of the day, there will be more and more people, of course, joining the light. But imagine if you're someone who's never prayed before. Imagine if you're someone who's not done any spiritual work of any kind. Yeah, Saturn he's not like, oh, gently, now's your time. That's it. Come on, now's your time. Blah blah blah. No, he's like, boom. He just cuts something off. He just comes with a slap because he's a malefic. However, Jupiter is here as well. What is Jupiter? Opportunity, optimism, spirituality, expansion. Technically, he's considered debilitated in the sign of Jupiter. But when a debilitated planet is with that sign ruler, it's boosted. So what people need to understand, most of all, in the deepest crisis comes the greatest opportunity. But we have to grasp the nettle and we have to face reality and do what is necessary with our systems and structures in order to be able to embrace this new world. Anyone that is like, oh, I just want to go back to how things were and this, that, and my old job and this, that, and the other. What we need to understand is this: Saturn rules over bricks and mortars, you know, architecture, structure. What's happening on the high street? Those businesses are dying. Just, you can even see in the UK, Topshop and, you know, Sir Philip Green's high street empires collapsed.
Yeah.
Bricks and mortar. Why? Because what's happening? We're going what? We're going into the age of Aquarius. Like the age of Aquarius is the 11th sign, which is equivalent to the 11th house, and the 11th house is the house of great gains. But I say to people, it's like that. It's like Amazon online. It's the marketplace. So what this means is we all have to get into that online marketplace and trade with each other and give each other business, no matter how big or small. This is about the small individual contributing to the collective. So we can contribute, we can buy each other's products. We can give someone a phone call to give them encouragement. We can give someone food even, because some people are literally going to be struggling for food. This is where the small person contributes to the collective of all. And this is about us all interacting socially, using social media to uplift rather than tear down. All those trollers, yeah, all those people trolling, they're just contributing to the vinegar of life. Yeah, we need to look at the oil, the holy oils, and rise up. So it's about doing everything. So if you know someone who's struggling, rather than them waiting for maybe some government handout or something like that, maybe they just need a phone call, or you just send them a message. How are you doing? You know, and just helping them to uplift, right, raise their vibration, because there are a lot of people that are working very hard to bring humanity down. Yeah. What we need to do is we need to push through that, you know, like the flower that comes between the concrete. Yeah. Because it can have a very concrete feel, Saturn. Yeah, hard, rigid things. But there's a contradiction there as well. Saturn challenges us to what? Overcome our fears, because he is the planet of fear. But what did they say? What is fear? What is it? What is it when you do the breakdown of fear, when you break it up? What is it? False, what's it? False information appearing real, or whatever?
False evidence. False
evidence. That's it. False evidence appearing real. So what that is, Saturn is a planet of contradictions, because on one level he's the planet of constriction, but yet he rewards us when we break our barriers and go beyond our fears. So we have to face this collective night of the soul and own the truth of it. Because look, let's be honest, look, we've got the truth of what? The environment. Saturn also represents unspoiled nature. Undespoiled nature. So do you think he's happy about what humanity has been doing to planet Earth? Do you think he's happy about that? What do you think he's going to do now that he's got this once in a 800 years conjunction, and he's going to be in his own signs back to back for 5 years? We have to respect the environment. Animals, one thing I'll say is this as well, this really, really helps in terms of your cash flow. Feed corvids. Now that might seem, but that's crows, magpies, dark animals that fly are Saturn. Yeah. Literally feed the birds, help the poor. Even if you don't have that much money, giving someone a phone call, asking them how they're doing, telling someone that you love them. Obviously we can't do that much hugging now, of course, but it will all help. Anything that's going to help people raise up. People need to understand we are shedding a skin. The snake is shedding its skin. We're going into a Kala Sarpa yoga where all the planets are one side of the nodes of the moon, which means time serpent yoga on the 1st of January. Yeah, it's fated. Whatever happens between then and spring is fated. So this is all about speeding up. Life is going to get faster. The conjunctions between Jupiter and Saturn hereafter, the next one will be in Libra in 2041. They're then going to meet in the air signs for the next 200 years. Yeah, life is going to get quicker, but first we have to clear out the gunk. So it's just, we need to understand that these changes, old things that we were attached to are going to disappear. But new things will emerge, new lives will emerge. we've got an opportunity to grow in directions that we've never grown in before, but it will be connected with online. So if if you're not tech savvy, have to learn. There's no choice. Like there's no choice.
And there's no truth in saying I cannot go on Zoom and I cannot set up a online shop and things like that. That's just a story, you know. And Ellen and I have had to invest a lot in technology, because this is really, because we actually wanted to be an events company. Like, you know, look what happened to the events industry. So we definitely had to transform our business model, and even we had to transform a lot of our programs because of what's going on. And this is really what we're asked to do. So unfortunately,
sorry, before we end everything, Hogarth, before we go, can you spell out those astrologers and the recommendations you made?
Oh, right, yes.
Because I was looking for them, and I think one was Kapiel Raj. Is it
Yeah, so it should be KP, I think it's IEL, and then Raj.
Okay, I think I found it.
And then Joni Patry.
Yeah, Joni I found.
Oh, okay. Let me, and it's like this, Patry. So if we look here,
and was there a book? Yeah.
Yeah, and she's got a book. I'll quickly show you.
Yeah.
Hogarth, could you please think about what type of astrology reading people should get with you if they want to be prepared for, let's say, what's going to happen after the Grand Conjunction? Just think about whether it's a business one or maybe a destiny one.
I missed that, sorry.
What type of astrology reading would be best for the people watching this that want to know how they can prepare their business or their, you know, themselves in order to face what's going on or to make best use of it? Would that be the, the destiny one, or the, I don't know what, you have quite a lot of different readings.
Yes, they can visit my website, which is the archetypalblueprint.com. I think you put it in the description anyway, don't you? It depends. So if a person, I've got stuff up there, which is the one I recommend, which is a good one. Well, they're all good, but is the Vedic astrology combined with archetypes. That's a good one. And I've actually got one specifically on there for business as well. So I recommend they look at my website, and then they choose the one that they feel is most relevant for them. I mean, I've got one which is literally specific for business strategy. And also as well, I'm offering a 33% off offer. So if people do Hoagie 1, so all this scribbles here. So if they do Hoagie 1 in the coupon, they'll get 33% off. And the book, honestly, Joni Patry should give me some commission on this, but this is her book. Now, there are some typos in here, but no book is perfect. But if you look at this will give you the grounding, yeah? And this is called Astrology, the Divine Order of the Universe, Houses, Numbers, Signs, and Planets, and it's by Joni Patry. I recommend this book because it will give you the grounding, because you'll get to learn what the planets are, but also as well how they express themselves in the houses. And then, of course, feel free to book a consultation. And that code is for all of my readings at the moment. I'm just doing this to help out because of COVID and just everything that is going on. So there is a lot that's going on, but we need to also imagine the highest good as well. But I say to people, get online. People must be online, because if you're not online, it's very difficult to access that. But once you're there, then of course it means you can have customers from all over the world. We will be able to meet again, but it's going to be a while. We're probably next summer, realistically. Once the vaccines, of course, all get in, then we'll be able to have events again and stuff like that. But definitely develop those online platforms, and then when we can meet physically again, then you've got the best of both.
Do we have time for one question? Because Geesje asked, what is the role in Mercury in all this? So maybe we can touch on that.
Mercury is also, so the eclipse that we just had a solar eclipse on the 14th. Mercury was involved there. On the inauguration day, we also have Mercury involved. So it is, where's my thingy bob? Let me just get my quick map. So we've got, I'm just running around. You can see I'm in my bog standard tracksuit bottoms. But we have, let's just show here. So we have Pluto. Oh, my thingy-bob's about to run out. So Pluto, we've got Pluto, Sun, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury. Let me quickly plug in my phone. It's about to die.
If it's dying, it's meant to be. And I need to go soon as well, because we're
Indeed.
using the Zoom for another meeting.
Yeah, maybe we should stop it there. I've got 5% left. I don't know if you can see me, but yes. So Mercury is a big part of that conjunction. Just plug this here. Just plug this in. Oh my gosh. Let me pull this closer, just in case. There, managed to get a bit of power in. But yes, Mercury is involved. I mean, all the planets are involved, but basically on the 20th of January, we have Pluto, Sun, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury all in a conjunction in the sign of sidereal Capricorn. And that really is part of the new beginning, really. It really is. But it's about, just to close, it's about seeing the highest good, not only for ourselves, but for other people. It's about getting online in any shape or form that you can, even whatever it is that you're selling, getting it online, getting things automated. But it's also as well about reaching out to those that are in despair, those that are struggling, even just sending them prayers, good wishes, seeing how people are doing, so that people feel that they're not alone. Because remember, Saturn is the planet of isolation, yeah? So what's happening? We're all feeling alone. So we need to kind of reach out in ways that we can, that of course are COVID safe, and let people understand, the vaccines are coming out now, irrespective of what our opinions are on the vaccines, people will do what they need to do. And that's going to bring a sense of hope and a bit of elevation, and it will pass. Pandemics don't last forever. They don't last forever. They historically, when you look at them, they do tend to last for about a couple of years or so. Yeah. And we're already, there's still more difficulty to come, but definitely by spring, summer, it's going to start feeling better. But that means if you've got an online presence and you've done that work, then when we can physically meet, when we can start having conferences again, people still want to meet for conferences. You're already going to be set up. And that's what it's about. It's about a recalibration, a complete reset. Get yourself ready. This is the beginning. We're on the doorstep of the age of Aquarius, and things are faster. So all is not lost. There is still hope, and there's opportunity. Don't forget, opportunity.
Thank you so much, Hogarth. I'm so sorry. When we put up this meeting, I suddenly had a client that really wanted to meet at 1 o'clock my time, and I couldn't say no. And
fine.
It was,
short and sweet.
Yeah, so absolutely. If there's anything, please contact Hogarth. I mean, I really recommend Hogarth. I mean, I have worked with Vedic astrologers that said things to me that were very deterministic, I would say. And when somebody is very deterministic, it means that we don't have free will. But what I love about Hogarth's reading is that your chart and the planets never impose on our free will. And they never give us a fated outcome. And that is the only way that I accept that this is why we are beings with free will. Otherwise, just kill me now, right? Yeah, otherwise, what's the use of being here? No, absolute no point, because then we're just in a program stuck. So what I would love, you of course you can go to any type of astrologers, many types of astrologers out there, but I really believe in the work of Hogarth, and Ellen and I we always work with people before we put them on our platform, because we need to have a really solid feeling that they are accurate, that they are balanced, and that they empower people instead of, come from their own limited understanding. And so this is my my gratitude for your work and for knowing you through our beautiful friend Daniel. And and we look forward to talking to you again soon. And lots of love to everybody. You know, as the only thing I'm going to remember from this call is imagination and prayer. I'm going to give thanks for the best case scenario of the whole of humanity and all the galaxies and all the timelines that are actually involved in this. And that's the work that Ellen and I want to do. This is what we were guided to do. And so we look forward to seeing you in one of our next interviews. We will be guided who to interview next. And lots of love to everybody. Lots of love to you both, to you, Hogarth. Bye.
Thank you, Hogarth.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Lots of love. And there is lots of hope as well. Hope and opportunity for everyone.
It
Okay.
happened already. Bye.